Hey, everybody. Hi. We just have a couple of announcements before the service begins. I'm Judy Hart. I'm the president of the board, and hello out there on YouTube World. Couple of the announcements. Oh, good. There's the bell. That's always good. Hospitality training has been rescheduled to the last Saturday of May. We need your help at being trained to be an usher or a greeter and a coffee maker. So those people that we're training on the last Saturday in May, they're the people that greet us as we walk in on a Sunday morning. They're the people that we can ask questions of when we need a little help. So watch the e-blast and for information about that. Today after service, we're holding our second town hall. This is leading up to the spring congregational meeting on May 21st, where members will vote for 3 new board members, a new program council chair, a share the plate recipients, and to adopt the 8th principle. So please come to the town hall. It's a great time to have a conversation about how this church works. Also, something came up on Friday about our nonprofit application. and I'd love to chat with you about that. So that's after our service. Thanks to everyone who showed up for the Justice in Action Nehemiah Assembly. Woo! Whoa, we had the best turnout. Oh my gosh, we had the first 3 rows. So it was like, we're on fire. How many of you went? Look at that. Oh my gosh, that's democracy in action without being political. It was just amazing. So thank you so much. We're going to have a post-assembly discussion here sometime soon. I will reach out to everybody through the e-blast and let you know if you want to participate. We have a newcomer chat after the service today, 11:15, in the library. If this is your first time, it's a great time to say hello and meet a couple of people. And then something wonderful happened this morning that Jason's going to tell us about.
Good morning. Well, this morning when I woke up this morning, my YouTube went off, and Oscar uploaded something from England. He uploaded Everything Brought to Speech, Oral History is Healing After Pandemic. So he presented over across the pond, and it's about 48 minutes. It's worth a watch. It's interesting to hear him present about what he's done with us to another group over in England. And the question and answers that they provided were really, really worth watching as well. So it's definitely something I recommend that you guys go take a look at if you need an Oscar fix. So just go take a look at our YouTube channel. Again, it was uploaded only 14 hours ago, and it's worth a watch. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Jason, for being so aware to get a YouTube alert. Woo! So take a deep breath, everybody. Talk among yourselves. We'll start in a couple minutes.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Lincoln on this Sunday morning. My name is Kelsey Burke. I'm a worship associate here at the church. Our settled minister, the Reverend Oscar Sinclair, is on sabbatical and will be away from the pulpit until mid-June. We are fortunate to be joined this morning by the Reverend Dr. Sarah Voss. Sarah is affiliated as a community minister at the First Unitarian Church of Omaha. She spent 9 years as an Omaha police chaplain and 15 as a contract chaplain at Methodist Hospital in Omaha, where she worked until the program, which was a victim of COVID, was shut down in early 2022. She is just finishing up a 5-month contract with the First Unitarian Church of Sioux City, where she supported the church's implementation of the 8th UU principle. Ordained in 1992, Reverend Voss came to ministry after a career teaching math. She spent years studying, teaching, writing, and even preaching about the relationship between religion and math and science. Her book, The Math Mystic's Guide to Creative Spirituality, is forthcoming. Reverend Voss is also an accomplished poet, and her first full-length book of poetry, Poems from the Gravel Road, from Finishing Line Press, is the source of her sermon material today. Over the last several years, the way we have met has often changed, but whether we are in person, on Zoom, on a YouTube live stream, or some way of being that we cannot yet imagine, worship together is a chance for us to deepen our connection with the source of meaning in our lives and to proclaim who we are and what we are about, throwing open the doors of the congregation and proclaiming the radical love and welcome that is at the heart of our faith. The Unitarian Church of Lincoln aspires to be a loving community, uniting reason with spiritual exploration to transform ourselves and the world. Welcome to this loving community. May we, in our gathering here, be about the work of transforming ourselves and the world together. I invite you to take a moment to look around at those who surround you. We are here. We made it through the marathon. We are together. Let's take a moment to settle into our seats, into our bodies. Perhaps plant your feet firmly, remembering that below the floor and the foundation is our earth. Notice your breath. Perhaps take a big, deep inhale and a slow exhale. Our chalice reading this morning is a poem by the Reverend Marcus Liefert, a Unitarian minister serving in Marin, California. It is titled, Blessed Are the Makers. You who are makers, makers of beauty, of paintings and pottery and sculpture, blessed is the making. You who make with hands and hearts and minds, who make out of breath and bones and blood human lives. Blessed are the makers. Blessed are those who make us laugh, who make jokes and faces and toys. Blessed are those who make messes, who make trouble and friends, and when needed, make up. Blessed are those who make do, who make it last, make it work, make beds, and make time for others. Blessed are those who make love, who make out, and make more, and make mistakes. Blessed are those who make coffee and tea, who make conversation, who make meaning in the face of tragedy, and make merriment and awaken joy. Blessed are those who make peace, for they shall inherit the earth. I invite you now to stand in body or spirit for our first hymn, number 38 in the gray hymnals, Morning Has Broken.
Our story today is called Ish by Peter Reynolds. Ramon loved to draw anytime, anything, anywhere. And one day, Ramon was drawing a vase of flowers. His brother, Leon, leaned over his shoulder, and Leon burst out laughing. "What is that?" he asked. Ramon could not even answer. He just crumpled up the drawing and threw it across the room. Leon's laughter haunted Ramon. He kept trying to make his drawings look right, but they never did. After many months and many crumpled sheets of paper, Ramon put his pencil down. "I'm done." Marisol, his sister, was watching him. "What do you want?" he snapped. "I was watching you draw," she said. Ramon sneered. "I'm not drawing. Go away." Marisol ran away, but not before picking up a crumpled sheet of paper. "Hey, come back here with that." Ramon raced after Marisol up the hall and into her room. He was about to yell, but fell silent when he saw his sister's walls. He stared at the crumpled gallery. "This is one of my favorites," Marisol said, pointing. "That was supposed to be a vase of flowers," Ramon said, "but it doesn't look like one." "Well, it looks vase-ish," she exclaimed. "Vase-ish?" Ramon looked closer, and then he studied all the drawings on Marisol's walls and began to see them in a whole new way. "They do look ish," he said. Ramon felt light and energized. Thinking ishly allowed his ideas to flow freely. He began to draw what he felt, loose lines, quickly springing out without worry. Ramon once again drew and drew the world around him, making an ish drawing felt wonderful. He filled his journals. Tree-ish, boat-ish, house-ish, afternoon-ish, fish-ish, sun-ish. Ramon realized he could draw ish feelings too. Peace-ish, silly-ish, excited-ish. His ish art inspired ish writing. He wasn't sure if he was writing poems, but he knew they were poem-ish. I know a couple poets who might relate to that. Ponder, ponder, dream yonder, pond, yond, gleam, wander, by Ramon. One spring morning, Ramon had a wonderful feeling. It was a feeling that even ish words and ish drawings could not capture. He decided not to capture it. And instead, he simply savored it. And Ramon lived ishfully ever after. The end. Ish. So if you would please rise in body or in spirit. Our next hymn is number 118, This Little Light of Mine, and the children are dismissed to their classes.
A central part of our services is the time we join together as a community to mark the moments of our lives. We share with one another all that makes life bittersweet, our joys, our sorrows, the events that mark the steps on our journey. The threads of sorrow and those of joy are intertwined in the fabric of our lives, and when we are able to share those threads, they become woven together with others in our community. Our joys are celebrated and magnified. We are comforted in our sorrows. We remember that we are not alone. We remember to give ourselves the same compassion and understanding as we give to others in this shared space. I invite you now to type into the chat if you are on YouTube, or speak into this shared space your name or the name of another you wish to be remembered in sorrow. Aaron. Kara. Jane. Oralee. A friend who lost her mother this week. My grandmother passed away on Sunday. Gail is in the chat. I invite you now to type into the chat or to speak into this shared space your name or the name of another who you wish to be remembered in joy. Oh, Katya was accepted to a university in Washington, D.C. Oh, Bailey for vision and discipline in the race for city council. Dan's 70th birthday. In the chat, we have a few names: Rita and Aaron, Becky, Shannon. As a sorrow, everyone impacted in the horrific shooting in Allen, Texas. As a joy, Dale. We know that there are some joys and some sorrows that are yet unspoken but still deeply felt. Let us hold a moment of silence for everything that is unspoken. Thank you for your presence today. Each year at the spring congregational meeting, our members vote for 10 organizations for the Share the Plate program. This Sunday is one of those Sundays where we recognize a Share the Plate recipient. For May 2023, it is the Center for People in Need. I'd like to welcome Steve Sheridan, who will tell us a little bit more about their important work. Steve.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Steve Sheridan. I'm the Director of Operational Impact at the Center for People in Need. I've been there going on 7 years, so I've seen a lot of changes since I've been there, a lot of positive changes. I know some of you are very familiar with some of what the Center for People in Need. Most people will say, well, you give out food and you give out diapers. I go, we do, and we do that very well. We've seen 1,900 families plus a week now. That's too many. That's too many that come through our doors. We're very blessed that we're able to do what we do, and we're very happy to be able to serve the folks that we do. But that's a lot of families that need our services. A little bit more of what we do that a lot of people don't know about is we have educational programs. And what we've decided that what our imprint needs to be is to help people get out of poverty. We have a POP scholarship through Southeast Community College through a private donor who can allow folks to go through and get a free associate's degree. The more education you have, the less likely you're going to be in poverty. We have a new program called EduTech that's through Google Docs. Some of you may be familiar with that. They're Google certificates, and they're in the IT field. I couldn't even begin to tell you what all that means. But I do know that there's a lot of jobs in our area that are desperate in need for employees in the IT field. It's entry-level positions, but it's a livable wage, and again, it helps people have a career path out of poverty. We teach English as a second language. We also know that we get people that come over all over the world, and they come to us because they know of our services. And some of them come over with law degrees or medical degrees or very brilliant, very smart people. They just don't have those language skills. Excuse me. So we help them with that. And again, we kind of get them on that track. Once they get the proficient in English, they can move on, excuse me, allergies. And we can help create a career path for them as well. So we have basic computers. We have a reentry program that helps people who are currently or recently released from a correctional facility. Again, those folks need that second chance. And so they're able to participate in some of our educational programs as well. We know that if they have a purpose once they leave and get out of that correctional facility, and they have a bunch of people who care about who they are, not so much what they did, but what their potential is, then we know we can help them, and then they have that, that footprint and that career path to help them lead successful careers. And we just had a graduation yesterday, as a matter of fact, or Friday, and it was kind of an alumni, if you will, that we all gathered with them. And it was just really neat to see them all come together, get their certificates of what our program. We have welding, we have computers, we have forklift and things like that. Again, it's those tangible skills that they can take with them to get a career started outside of corrections. So we do a lot of different things. Like I said, most people know us as our need, but we also have that need and that career growth and that prosperity. So we're trying to help people where they're at and find ways to help people. I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shameless plug to Give to Lincoln. Many of you know that that's coming up. It's actually started May 1st and it goes through May 24th. And I always tell people, if the Center for People in Need is not for you to give to a nonprofit. Nonprofits really, really value those funds. It helps them keep their doors open. It helps them create programming so they can help more people. We're not a one-size-fits-all. We do what we do really well, but there's other nonprofits out there that do things that we don't. So if you feel a nonprofit is something that you would like to give to, you probably can find them real easy. I've left some of our QR codes out in the other room. So if you feel the need to give to us, that would be great. If not, please reach out and give to another nonprofit that speaks to you. So thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this, and thank you so much from the Center for People in Need.
Thank you, Steve, for being with us today. As a reminder, we will give to the Center for People in Need any loose cash or checks with Share the Plate written in the memo line. You might also consider giving via text. You can text UC Lincoln and the amount you wish to give to 73256. Again, that's 73256. Will the ushers, Karen and Tim, please come forward to receive our offerings? While we hear our second piece of music for today, our first two songs this morning are being performed by the music director at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Brookfield, Wisconsin, Ruben Purinen. Our reading this morning comes from a sermon entitled Work in Progress by Stephanie Trudell. Being a work in progress is diametrically opposed to being perfect. Being perfect is rigid, unyielding. It offers no flexibility, no wiggle room. It puts people in neat little boxes with labels that oftentimes do not fit. Perfect does not allow for diversity of opinion. Perfect doesn't care about the process, only the product. Perfect stifles creativity and impedes understanding. Perfect is judgmental and closed off. One size does not fit all, especially when it comes to matters of religion and faith. Unitarian Universalism understands this and offers an alternative. When you are a work in progress, you are able to breathe and move. You can explore and stretch yourself in new ways. You are enriched by the symphony of life that surrounds you and fills you. You can question, ponder, and search freely for what is most meaningful for you. You can come to find others who have a much different story, but who are also seeking, searching. Perhaps that is a place where you find meaning. You know that mistakes are not mistakes, but opportunities to learn what not to do next time. You see the value in the process, secure in the knowledge that it is the journey that matters. When you are a work in progress, you realize how vast this world is and how much there is to learn. You do your best, and you know that this is enough. We will now turn to our hymn, number 95, There is More Love Somewhere, and I invite you to stand if you are able.
Good morning. When the Reverend Oscar Sinclair asked me before he left for other lands if I could fill in for him some Sunday while he was on sabbatical, my new poetry book, oh, I forgot that. Right. My new poetry book had only just recently come out, and I was tickled to offer to do a sermon based on it. And yes, I did bring some in case some of you would like to buy one afterwards. When I first started to share what I call my gravel road sermon, I thought it might seem a little self-serving to do a poetry reading and as a sermon and then offer the book for the sale afterwards. I wondered if it was unminister-like to do that. But then I came to my senses. So please know that I'm really, truly delighted to be here with you today and to share some of the work that is still in my new book, Poems from the Gravel Road. It's not yet a year old. So this book came about thanks to my oldest daughter, Sana, who sometime during the second year of the pandemic suggested that I put together a collection of my family poems. It'll be a little like a small family history, she said. And then she said, I'll help you, Mom. Sana is a graphic designer, and she did the cover of this and the artwork for each of the six sections inside. And she did the layout and a lot of advertising, advising, and encouraging. So fast forward a couple of years, and here I am this morning with my Gravel Road sermon. It consists of 10 poems from the book and a small bit of commentary. There's an undergirding of church and faith in the 10 poems that I've selected. And the sixth one, number 6, will be read by Kelsey Burke, who I thought would be, maybe she had never had a chance to preach from this particular pulpit. And the sixth one is a sermon all in itself, a poem, a sermon within a sermon, so to speak. So I think it'll be fun to have you share it. Some of you may consider this to be about the length that all sermons should be. On the half sheet of paper that you received is a list of the 10 sermons that I'll be giving. And on the left-hand side, right-hand side of that is a list of some of the lines from them. They are not in the same order. So I thought that I would encourage you to match them up. If you have a pencil or pen, you can, as I'm reading them, see if you can identify the lines that I have said. When I first started doing that, thinking that I would do that, I mentioned it to my youngest daughter, Melinda, and she said, "Oh, don't do that, Mom. It'll feel like a quiz or something." And I said, "No, I think it'll be fun. I'll do it." So here it is. But afterwards, if you care to, please tell me if you did it and whether or not it felt like a quiz and if it was fun. So it's quite possible this choice of action is not an either or, but a both and, which is, I think, a great spiritual lesson all in itself for our times. On the cover of on the back side of the book, there's a couple of blurbs, and one of them is by Elizabeth Evans, who teaches in, I think she's retired now, in Arizona, poetry and creative writing. And I know her from the time when she used to live in Omaha, and she said that the poem I'm going to start out with is one of her two favorites of all those she has read. And she said it was a smart, large poem. And what a wonder that we come at with that surprise of a title. Always fun when we finish a poem and look at the title and go, oh, and that's where I started. How cool. So this is The Cost of a Medium-Sized Dog. For its lifetime, $6,400, according to a sign posted in the bathroom stall at the Science Museum in the city near the town where my grandparents rest, high on a steep grassy hill, their graves upright in a cemetery of fine stones. My great-uncle Irving, dead before my birth, lies next to his wife Bertha, whom I might have met but didn't. Great-uncle Art, the youngest, never married, always strange, is buried right of Granddad, 2 over from Grandma. I remember Uncle Art, his octagonal house, the kitchen sink cupboards all lowered to accommodate his ailing mother, Granddad's mother, who raised all 6 children alone on the farm after her husband deserted, or something. No one ever told, not one word about this great-grandfather whose tombstone and name are conspicuous for their absence near great-grandmother Amelia, 1845 to 1926. All facts I didn't know yesterday, like the cost of my tears as I stood before the family plot, seeing once again Grandma, Granddad, Uncle Art, who left it all to the church, our whole family at the dining table by the yellow kitchen in the house Granddad built years ago, long before that red brick insurance agency rose in its place. At the Science Center, my husband and I watch a film about the great carnival of life of coral reefs, the exact words, how global warming is causing them all to die. A second film about bugs ends when the praying mantis eats a butterfly. On another sign, I learn how a dying person loses sight, taste, smell, touch, hearing, in that order, and how an ordinary pencil contains enough lead to draw a line 35 miles long or to write 50,000 words. The next poem takes us back in time to my childhood. I remember how folks back then wore their Sunday best to church. Some of us probably are old enough to remember all that. Dresses, hats, white gloves for the ladies, suit and tie for the men, carefully polished shoes, brushed top for the men. A Sunday school for the children was always pre-church, so kids always had to sit with their families throughout the long service. And here's how I recall church when I was a child. Patience. Every Sunday morning meant Cousin Sherry's hand-me-down dresses and Austenburg Church, the only one, and our services that stretched my imagination. I made games, trying to keep up with the responsive reading, learning words to all 4 verses, pretending church was done and we'd stopped at the town bar for the Cleveland Plain Dealer, and I was already sprawled out on the dining room rug, studying comics, smelling the only meal Mother cooked on Sundays, aware that later there'd be Roy Rogers and popcorn. Yet I was ever certain that after the big hand reached 12, there'd be the hopping outside, post to post to post. Grown-ups always talking, and only rain or bailing could alter the pattern every morning, every Sunday morning meant. By the time I'd left, I was in my 30s, I had left the youth of the church of my youth entirely, disenchanted with the hypocrisy of church life, or so I thought. And then things kind of fell apart in my own family, and I spent some hard time just trying to stay sane. I think a lot of us go through something like that at least once in our lives, times when everything changes. Here's a poem that captures some of the spiritual part of that experience, at least for me. The church, the stone, and the grass widow. Recently, I've tried a Congregational, a Presbyterian, one Fundamentalist, a few high masses. Twice, a priest presented me a thin white wafer and a sip of red juice. I surprised myself by crying. My latest church is small and struggling, but the minister, newly ordained, newly divorced, newly installed, is friendly, and the congregation needs members, maybe even me. Recently, I've tried astrology, graphology, energetics, tarot, and a psychic shrink. The psychic saw a puppy dog in my future, neglected to tell me it would get hit by a car, cost $400 at the vet's. The energy healer said I'd been programmed 6 centuries back for a miserable life, but it was okay now because I could be reprogrammed. The card reader saw the fool in my immediate future. My handwriting revealed clear signs of family strife dating back to my childhood. The astrologer said he was a romantic at heart, but even he could offer no hope, absolutely not one chance for my marriage to work. It was all right there in my chart. Recently, I've tried a new job, lover, furniture arrangement after my husband moved out, 3 new shrinks, and a hairdo. The hairdo and the lover helped most. The hairdo because it made me feel attractive, and the lover because he gave me a stone, which he called wisdom, and which he said would guide and protect me and be my friend forever and ever, amen. Rock of Ages, I put it on a chain, wear it around my neck as a sure sign of resurrection. Incredibly, I eventually found myself called to ministry. Many people advised and aided me in this journey, but I cherish most the help of my family. About family on this road traveled. Family is almost the first people you tell, and when they learn you want to be a minister, they say, go for it. Family is who packs up cardboard boxes, carts them in and out of U-Haul trucks, then helps unpack them. Family rubs your back or sends you a letter or flowers or gives you a hug when things aren't going quite right at theological school. Family knows what ML, U of C, CPE, MFC means. Family knows what getting a 1 from the MFC means. Family hears your first sermon 6 times and then tells you it was wonderful. Family attends conferences it has only moderate interest in, doesn't complain when you have to go to yet one more church meeting. Family tells you it really likes eating fast food 5 nights in a row. Family sees you with your hair messy and your face unmasked, and knows when you just absolutely must get some more sleep. Family spends vacation time resetting the 1-inch margins on your doctoral thesis to 1 1/4 inches, and never once says you should have found this out sooner. Family writes, "Good luck, Mom," on handcrafted paper when you leave for your oral exam. And family plays the piano at your ordination, does the graphics for the order of service, lights the chalice especially for you, says it doesn't mind sleeping on the couch when the key to the guest room disappears. For graduation, family gives you a photo of the road traveled to hang in your ministerial office. Family travels miles itself to celebrate with you whenever it can, and sends love when it can't. And without family, this day would never have happened. The road never traveled. No, not at all. Thank you, family, for being there, for being here, for being. This next poem was inspired by Spirit of Life, one of the hymns in our hymnal here. And my oldest daughter was married in the Catholic Church, and the priest was clearly not impressed that her mother was a UU minister. I did a reading during the wedding, which turned out to be my way to sneak in some UU thoughts into the ceremony. I doubt the priest was much impressed, but the poem is still framed, sitting all these years since, atop a dresser in the wedding couple's bedroom. Blessings from the bride's mother. 3 may your blessings be. First, roots to hold you close, to love and nourish you, to anchor you on dangerous cliffs, to center you through pain and disappointment, to support your every effort, to remind you who you are. Second, wings to set you free, to guide your path, to soar with joy, to discover the tulips hidden in the sky, to help you search for truth, to show you who you can become. Roots, wings. Roots and wings together. And third, faith to accept such contradictions. Faith, for then your individual lives will each radiate hope, and your wedded life will be rich with mystery and peace. I've asked, as I mentioned, Kelsey Burke to read this next poem for me. Here's a chance for her to try out this pulpit, if she hasn't already. Think of this as a poem, this poem as a sermon within a sermon.
I can say in all of my speaking in public, I have never preached until now. This poem is titled My Mixed Sermon, Short But No Jokes. It's the ill among us who need us, the needy among us who challenge us, the challengers among us who surprise us, the surprisers among us who hearten us, the heartened among us who lead us, the leaders among us who follow. The will of the ill, the pull of the needy, the demand of the challengers, the aspiration of the surprisers, the hope of the heartened.
Again, thank As I've grown older, I believe I have gained enough wisdom to be a source of help and sometimes even spiritual insight for others from time to time. And I had a good model for this in my own mother, who spent the last 3 years of her life in an Omaha assisted living facility. Here is a poem from that really special time that I shared with her. Smiling over her hot fudge sundae, Mother announces this is likely her very last dish of ice cream. Are you planning on dying tonight? I make the question a joke, a protest. She expects it. I reassure her. What's your hurry, Mother? It's a game we play. Sometimes several times during one Sunday. She forgets she has already played the game. Every time is a first time. You mean you don't think I ought to be in any rush? No, don't be in any rush, Mother. I like having you around, Mother. I tell her over and over, although the form varies. Some days she still feels well enough to make this trek for the Sunday. This, the raw meaning of happy. When the good Lord says it's time, I'm going to say, just a minute, Lord, just let me finish this ice cream first. In my garden, this is a short poem exploring some of the insight I think we gain as we age. This month, the anniversary of my only brother's birth, 81, I think. I emailed, then called. No response. I forgot to recall. I hope he's okay. In my garden, the metaphors are wilting. I pray for rain, and suddenly I want to remind my brother of that time long ago when I got stuck on the log fallen over the creek, was too scared to move. Brother came back for me, held out his hand, helped me across. The first section of my book centers on grandmothering, and this is a poem I cherish about the time I spent with my oldest biological grandchild when she was still very little. Raya is today as a graphic designer. She lives and works in Minneapolis and quite recently got engaged, so very happy. I like to think that maybe some of the story in my poem is something that helped her on this journey. After seeing pricey works of art in the local gallery, my 9-year-old granddaughter and I make our own. Bloom emerges from a round cardboard tube meant for mailing rolled papers. We coil ropes, wires, and yarn around it, then cover the upper third with rags torn from flowered fabric found in the sewing drawer. An antique oriental mirror fits the lid perfectly, reflects a circular perversion of an ancient Chinese curse. May your life bloom in interesting ways. Half Done, a similar effort, begins months later after she leaves. I spray a junked umbrella stand black, wrap to the middle with rope, recycle from a previous existence as the edge of a border high on my library wall. Such patience it took to braid 160 linear feet of yellow, red, purple, brown yarn. Then, when repainting the walls, I yanked it off. How it lay for days, coiled like a noose waiting. I'd have tossed it away, but I've learned to favor creation over waste, to always opt for the second life. And here's my last poem for today, one which I wrote fairly recently, and it found its way into a recent issue of the Elderberries. That is the quarterly newsletter of Eurapma. Anybody? Eurapma? It's UURMAPA, or Unitarian Universalists Retired Ministers and Partners Association. So it's part of us, although you may not even be aware of it. I am. So this is called Hard Decisions. The next grandbabies I hold in my arms will be my great-grandbabies, not you, dear grandchild, who never knew Earth's charms. Today, my youngest, my bonus baby, the one who did not move out of state, who always claimed you as a maybe, reads my short history of grandmothering, then requests I add my ode to you, unborn progeny, a desire that left me softly sad and wondering how to tell how the only thing I wanted, more than I wanted you, was how to help your awesome mother stay full and undaunted. Thank you, and let's stand and sing. What number is it? 118? 123, yes, that's right. 123, which is the poem I referenced earlier.
My life goes on in endless song above Earth's lamentation. I hear the real, the far off hymn that hails a new creation.
No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging, since love prevails in heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing?
While all the time
me thank Reverend Voss for sharing her poetry with us this morning, and a reminder for all of you that you can purchase her book of poetry outside of the sanctuary, where I'll also invite you to join for coffee and fellowship. Our closing words come from James Baldwin. The world is before you, and you need not take it or leave it as it was when you came in. Go in peace.